Good evening. I wanted to talk about some spoilers about Deadpool and Wolverine. So this is your warning, we're going to talk spoilers. So I already did my out of theater reaction, and so now I want to do a little bit of a calmer, sitting down, talk through some things I liked, some things I am not sure about, and then some things I didn't like. All right, I loved all the cameos and references. I don't know if you caught it, but there's a cameo of The Greatest Showman starring Hugh Jackman when they were fighting in the van and they were beating each other against the radio. You could hear the opening song to The Greatest Showman. And it was only for like 1 second, but I was like, that is awesome attention to detail. Did you notice that? Okay, I've thought about this a lot, and the cameo that I think I love the absolute most and did not get spoiled for me, I was very annoyed because the day before, like the 24th, the movie comes out on the 26th, but I went and saw it on the 25th. On the 24th, people were spoiling cameos. So I was just like scrolling through YouTube, and like there was thumbnails that are like, Blade is in Deadpool and Wolverine. And it's just like, hey. So Blade was cool, but my absolute favorite cameo was Gambit by Channing Tatum. And if you remember, he was supposed to play Gambit in a Gambit movie, and I thought he was awesome. Like, he totally just hammed it up with the Cajun accent, and so like just like the people interactions with Gambit was like hilarious and authentic, but Gambit always felt like he was like Gambit. It didn't feel like Channing Tatum just hamming it up. Channing Tatum. What I really loved watching Gambit do was exploding people, right? Because in the cartoon, he's always like grabbing things and throwing them. In the cartoon, boop, he's always grabbing things and like throwing them, and they explode, and throwing his cards, right? But you're always like, what if he touched a person? What would happen? And he exploded so many people in that fight scene, and that was so cool. It's like everything I've always wanted to see from Gambit, and it was so the movie's just like full of fan service, right? Like that was kind of the whole movie. It was just like sequence after sequence after sequence of fan service stuff stitched together with some Disney smelling TVA stuff. So just like the movie Logan, boop, boop, did everything I wanted it to do with the Wolverine character. So like I grew up playing with Wolverine toys, and this is gonna sound morbid, but I would always have him like ripping people apart with his claws, like rip out their spine and then like stab them with it, just like things that someone with claws could actually do. And I just thought the movies were so tame. The second X2 actually, like the ferocity of Wolverine kind of went up, and then the unrated version of the Wolverine, like you got to see a little bit more of his like violence. But Logan was finally when like I feel like we just saw the Wolverine at his best, and like the absolute graphicness of what he could do with his claws. So Deadpool and Wolverine, this movie was that for Gambit. Just everything I've ever wanted to see out of Gambit, and it was amazing. And then it was just funny and awesome to see Blade and Elektra. I actually really like the Daredevil movie. I know a lot of people hate it. I was looking for it back here. I think my movies still aren't organized from moving, so still need to get there. But the director's cut of the Ben Affleck Daredevil is actually really great. Okay, and there's one cameo that I'm actually kind of torn on. And at first you'll be like, wait, why are you torn on that? That was amazing. The X-23, the Daphne Keene cameo. So first of all, she was incredible. And the way that her character interacted with the new Logan, I thought was beautiful. But what I didn't like kind of stems back to the Disney TVA stuff, which is like your universe has an important person, and if they die, your universe collapses. And then not only does your universe collapse, like the people are like in this limbo until they get destroyed. Like that's awful. That's like hellish to imagine. So it's hard to imagine such a perfect movie like Logan, where he saves all these kids and dies, that now those kids aren't going to grow up and live because their universe is going to collapse, because that's how it's designed at the TVA. Like, I hate that. So I was glad to see her, and I was especially glad that we see her at the end, so I guess she lives. My friend or brother pointed out that she has regenerative property, so maybe that's why she lived. So I was happy to see her, but at the same time I was like, oh, you're here because your universe, you got like, it doesn't, the movie Logan, I don't want to watch the movie Logan and be like, oh, at the end of this, like all this weird multiverse stuff's gonna happen, and that little girl, she's gonna get sucked into this other like nowhere place, and then she's gonna end up on another universe. Like, I don't like thinking that. I loved how bloody the movie was. It was so bloody and violent. There was just blood getting on everything, and it was just, I felt like I was reading a comic book. I think I've probably read, like, I haven't read a ton of Marvel comics, but I've probably read more Deadpool comics than anything else, weirdly. No, actually, Spider-Man. But I've read Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, and then Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe again, and then there's like 2 different zombie story arcs with him, and I think that's all I've read of his. And then I guess I've read a bunch of Spider-Man. The point is, I'm not completely new to comics, but I'm also not super into comics. But I felt like Deadpool and Wolverine, like I was reading a comic book. Like, it was just so, like, it was so violent, but it wasn't like, I don't know. I can't say it wasn't gross because some of it was gross, but it wasn't like, it felt like a comic book. I felt like I was reading a comic book. So it just felt even more removed from reality. And I laughed out loud a lot in this movie, and I liked that. It was refreshing. It was refreshing to laugh out loud. I had my little brother sitting next to me, and it was just fun to laugh out loud at some of the outlandish stuff. Like, there were times during the movie where I was just like, what am I watching? Like, when Wolverine and Deadpool were fighting all the Deadpools, I was just like, oh, what is this? Or, oh my gosh, I haven't even talked about the opening scene yet. Or the opening scene. It's like, you're probably wondering how we're going to make this movie without messing up the legacy of Logan. And I was like, yeah, I'm wondering that. And then he's like, we're not. And he's like, starts digging the hole. And I was like, oh my gosh, they just went there. What the heck? And I was like, this is Deadpool. This feels right on. And then when he's just like killing all those guys with the skeleton, like, I think my mouth was just dropped open. That was insane. That was crazy. And I don't want to watch this movie, Deadpool or Logan, if you can see it up there on the shelf. I don't want to watch it and think about that scene. So it's kind of, it's a plus and a minus. Like, it was an awesome scene in this movie, but at the same time, I don't want to think about that next time I watch Logan. I absolutely loved the new Wolverine, right? Because Logan that we know is dead, as confirmed in the opening scene when he dug up his body. But so the new Logan, right? From a different Earth that messed up. I really liked how he was wearing his costume, his X-Men outfit. He was wearing it under his clothes, but like, he's just wearing it the whole time. And you're like kind of cranky, and you're not into the superhero thing, and yet you're wearing this costume. And so I actually really loved when he finally explained why he wore the costume. I thought it was actually really beautiful. Like, Hugh Jackman, I think, had some of the best acting moments in this whole movie. Like, Ryan Reynolds had a lot of good emotional moments where the tears started building and stuff. But I think Hugh Jackman, just like the energy and like acting believability of it was incredible. I loved the like 2-minute tirade of insults in the minivan that Wolverine does to Deadpool, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And it really felt like a lot of those insults obviously were directed to Deadpool, but some of them felt like they were directed to Deadpool, but also to himself, right? Because he has a lot of self-loathing. Minivan fight scene was an absolute gem of cinema. I love how it ends. You see the passage of time, and they're just like asleep, and Deadpool's all wrapped up like a mummy from the seatbelts. Also, the fact that they're asleep after fighting for a really long time, there's some definite undertones to that. Speaking of undertones, I want to know if you noticed this. So obviously there's parts in the movie that things are shown in Deadpool's mind, or in people's minds, that do not happen in reality. Like the bald Xavier girl, when she's in Deadpool's mind, and then you see Vanessa saying that she doesn't want Wade anymore. Like, that obviously, that didn't happen that way, right? But there was something that happened, and I don't think it's because of the Xavier lady. So there would be like a flashback of Wade at the party, right, with all of his friends, and he's like looking down and like smiling at someone, and then it would like kind of cut, and he's still there, he's still looking down and smiling, but it's showing him alone. So I was like, is this like a Fight Club kind of thing, or like where he's they're not actually there. Like, I don't know. Like, it was very quick, and they didn't really make a big deal about it. But they showed him with people and then not with people, but he was still doing the same poses. So it's like just the people disappeared, which made me be like, is he just imagining all these people? I don't think he is. So I don't know what the point of that was. Or if it was just to show how his mind's getting messed with by this lady. But did anyone else notice that? Or what do you think of that? Yeah, I'll just say it. I don't like the TVA. I don't like TVA at all. But I don't like the key person idea in a universe. If the key person gets destroyed, the universe collapses. I don't like that. So on the part where like Deadpool just loves this Deadpool dog so much, Dogpool, and it's like licking his face, right? Like all around his face and even on his mouth a little bit. And then Deadpool actually sticks his tongue out. And it kind of looked like his tongue was CG on that part. Curious if they did that. It looked a little bit fake. Ah, man, now Marvel, with all the different, like, Earth sacred timeline and all the different, like, Earth numbers, like, which Earth number is the Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, and which Earth number is the Fox universe, like, it actually gets kind of confusing. And I'm like, man, do I need to, like, bring, like, a little notebook to these movies, like, which Earth is what, so I can, like, follow along? So throughout the movie, like, I was really enjoying it, but it was kind of just, like, a lot of scenes back to back to back, like fan service scenes. And every once in a while, like the little Disney stink would kind of come through. Like, you know, like I'm watching like a fun Deadpool movie, but every once in a while, just a little thing would leak through and just like, this is Disney. All right. So I was talking to my brother before the movie and my friend after the movie, and it's just like, you know what? I'm here for Wolverine. I'm here for Hugh Jackman. Like, I've been watching X-Men movies for 24 years. Like in the year 2000, I went and saw X-Men in theater. Like, and change, you know, there was definitely scenes that had influence of the Matrix, right? Because it had just come before it, like with some of the slow motion and stuff. But that movie was awesome, right? And so I've been watching Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Like, really, that's what I've been watching, right? And they know that because they've made so many movies where he's like the main character. But I mean, I've been watching him for so long. And so I was like on the freeway driving by myself to the theater. I was going to meet up with my friend and my brother. But I was like, I'm going to go watch another comic book movie, like another Marvel movie, like another people in tights. Like, how old am I? It's like, do I really want to do this? Like, maybe I should go watch something else. And I was like, nah, I want to see Hugh Jackman be Wolverine again. And this might be blasphemy, but I think Deadpool is like fun and like a little novelty, like fluffy cotton candy. But I mean, like, I was there for Wolverine. I was there for Hugh Jackman. So like I don't know if Deadpool would be enough to just get me to go like night before opening day, right? But I mean, like, I really wanted to see Hugh Jackman and I really wanted to see them interacting, but just Wolverine again. It's just like a nice, comfy place to go to see Wolverine. Love that character. And one thing I didn't like about the Loki TV show was that our Loki died, right? Thanos choked him out. And in the Loki TV show, they have an alternate Loki. And they're like, here, alternate Loki, watch TV of other Loki having all these experiences. And so you kind of like absorb that. And it's just like, you're still not my Loki. And so when I saw in the previews that they were having it be a different Wolverine, I was just like, ugh, I don't care about some other Wolverine. Like, yeah, I know it's Hugh Jackman, but I don't care. But this movie absolutely did a great job of making me care. And this Wolverine was so cool. I loved his costume. And when he put on his like, I don't know, cowl, his Wolverine mask thing, it was so cool. It was so cool. And, oh my gosh. Okay. Hugh Jackman's workout. He's 55 years old, I think. And he ate 6,000 calories a day and ate chicken, tilapia, and green beans. And my goodness, that might be the best 55-year-old male body example I've ever seen in any movie ever. At the end, when they were self-sacrificing, he doesn't have a shirt on, and the camera's like right by his abs, and you see Deadpool's head like pop over and like look at his abs and like nod. I mean, that was a work of art. So I know Hugh Jackman, like, it's a lot of work to get in that shape, and it's very difficult. But like, my goodness, it's a work of art. His body in this movie, and it's captured forever and always to see. so he can let it go because it's been captured. This movie made me want to work out more, honestly. I was like, oh, I'm really squishy. Like watching these guys work out and watching them fit in those like tight costumes. I was like, I should probably work out. Speaking of costume, like I know I don't like the TVA, but there's a lot of funny things at the TVA. The costume guy, that scene was so funny when he's like giving Deadpool this awesome new costume, and he like slaps his butt, and it's like, oh yeah, of course. And he's like grabs his crotch, and he just like, and it just like goes through like putting on the gloves, zipping zippers, and it's like slap butt, grab crotch, and just like did it over and over and over and over. Like it was really funny. All right, that's enough for now. I think I'm going to think about it a lot more. But I mean, this thing is definitely repeatable, and I really enjoyed it. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you had any of those similar thoughts on stuff I talked about. Let me know what you think of the other X-Men movies, too, by the way. I think the only X-Men movie I haven't seen, or Fox X-Men movie, is New Mutants, and I own it. I just haven't watched it yet. So I've seen all of them. I'm not going to rank them right now. If you want to see that, let me know, but maybe I'll do that later. But yeah, this has been Deadpool and Wolverine spoiler thoughts. So hopefully you didn't watch this without seeing the movie, unless you don't care to see the movie. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.